Sometimes you probably feel like your brain is stuck, like it's racing but also going nowhere at the same time. Focusing feels almost impossible. Your mind keeps wandering all over the place, and your mood's all over the map. You feel tired, but you don't really know why. Like something's off, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Maybe you tell yourself, it's just a phase. It'll pass. Or, it's probably just work stress. I'll bounce back soon. But what if there's actually something deeper going on? Something that's slowly changing how your brain works, and you don't even notice it. So today, I want to invite you to think about this a little more. Carl Jung, that famous psychologist, once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." What he meant is, there's a lot happening inside our heads that we don't realize, but it actually shapes how we think, feel, and act. Even the little habits we brush off can quietly mess with our brains over time. And here's the thing, most of the time, we don't even realize we're doing these habits. So today, I just want to have a chill chat about 4 habits you might be doing every day without knowing. Habits that could be quietly damaging your brain. No pressure, no lectures, just a little awareness, and maybe some ideas on what we can change to keep our brains healthy and strong. Honestly, who hasn't pulled an all-nighter? Especially when you're slammed with work or just want to chill and scroll your phone before bed. I've been there too. Imagine this. You get home from work, totally wiped out, but then you grab your phone. You scroll, watch videos, and before you know it, it's past midnight. Next day, you wake up with a heavy head, red eyes, and zero focus. Turns out this kind of habit isn't just about feeling sleepy. Over time, it actually messes with your brain. Gabor Maté, a doctor and author, says our brains need enough sleep to refresh and repair themselves. Without enough sleep, your brain struggles to store memories, and you end up forgetting stuff easily. Your focus? That goes out the window too. Even worse, if this lack of sleep keeps happening, your brain starts to feel exhausted, and your mood gets all over the place. It's a sign your brain is worn out, which can even lead to stress and depression. So, don't sleep on sleep. Sometimes, this small thing is the first sign your brain's starting to go off track. Sometimes, without even realizing it, we try to do a bunch of things at once. You're working, but you're also checking social media, replying to texts, listening to a video, and casually skimming through emails. It feels super productive. But in reality, your brain is working twice as hard. Multitasking is like constantly switching lanes on a highway. Your brain keeps jumping from one thing to another. And the result? Nothing really gets done properly. And the part you feel the most? Exhaustion. Not just physical, but mental too. Here's a story for you. There's a graphic designer I know who used to work on his projects with YouTube playing in the background, Instagram open on the side, and random conversations going on around him. At first, it felt fine, but over time, he started to lose motivation. His creativity dried up, and even when he finished his work, he felt empty. Eventually, he learned to work with zero distractions. And everything changed. His projects improved, and he felt way more at peace. Even small things, like notifications, can drain more brain energy than we think. Your brain needs rhythm, not chaos. So it's not about whether you can multitask. It's about how much you're letting your brain get pulled in every direction, until there's no space left for clear thinking. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is pause, do one thing, and actually enjoy doing it. Every day, we're drowning in information. You wake up and immediately check your phone, scrolling through news, videos, people's opinions, then hopping to another app. And that's not even counting work, deadlines, or everything else piling up. The thing is, our brains aren't bottomless baskets you can just keep filling. They need time to process, time to sort out what matters and what doesn't. There was this moment that really got me thinking. A friend of mine said he started feeling anxious, couldn't sleep, and was always exhausted, even though his daily routine wasn't that busy. After talking to a psychologist, he found out the issue wasn't what he was doing, but what he was taking in. Too much information, no time for quiet, no room for the brain to breathe. Gabor Maté once said, "One form of modern trauma is losing connection with ourselves. And sometimes, it's the constant noise from the outside world that pulls us further away from what's going on inside. We need empty space. Not just to daydream, but to actually hear what we're feeling. When you give your brain a moment of stillness, whether it's a walk without your phone, sitting in a cafe, doing nothing, or just taking a deep breath in silence, all the mental knots slowly start to loosen. Information is important, yeah. But if we never stop to process it, it overwhelms us instead of helping us grow. Sometimes we get too good at pretending. We smile, say, "I'm fine," keep working, chatting, going through the motions, but deep down, something just doesn't feel right. And because we're used to living in survival mode, we start thinking that feeling off is just normal. But emotions are like alarms. They show up to tell us something. And if we keep turning off every alarm without checking what's wrong, we eventually go numb. And that's when it gets dangerous. Because we stop noticing when we need to pause. A lot of us grew up in a culture that taught us to be strong, to push through, to avoid being too emotional. But emotions aren't the enemy. Suppressing anger, hiding sadness, or denying fear doesn't make us mature. Sometimes it just disconnects us from ourselves. Gabor Maté often talks about this. He says many of us carry invisible emotional wounds, and when we don't face them, they show up in other ways. Sleepless nights, chronic stress, unexplained body pain, even long-term illness. Because the mind and body were never really separate to begin with. I once met someone who seemed incredibly strong, always active, always the one people leaned on. But one day they told me, "I'm tired. Not from doing too much, but from always holding everything in." And that hit me. Because I think a lot of us feel the same, but we never say it out loud. Acknowledging your emotions doesn't make you weak. It's actually the beginning of real courage. When you can sit with your anger, your sadness, your disappointment, that's when your brain starts to breathe again. That's when healing begins. Maybe it's time to stop beating ourselves up every time we feel soft, and instead, start listening. Honestly, gently, without judgment. Because a healthy brain isn't just about sharp thinking. It's also about a heart we don't ignore. Those 4 habits might seem small, but if we keep ignoring them, over time they wear our brains down. And when your brain starts to get tired, life starts to feel heavy, even if you can't quite explain why. The good news? You don't need to change everything overnight. Sometimes, it just takes one small step. Maybe that means focusing on one task at a time, or giving yourself a moment of silence, free from distractions. Or maybe it's simply being honest with yourself. Today, I'm not doing okay. Gabor Maté once said, "Health isn't just the absence of disease, but the presence of a deep connection between mind, body, and spirit." And maybe that's something we can slowly start building. One small moment at a time. Start small, but do it with awareness. Because big changes usually begin with tiny moments of clarity we choose not to ignore. If this video made you think, even just a little, hit that subscribe button. We'll keep having conversations like this, not to tell you what to do, but to figure things out, together, slowly and calmly. See you in the next one. Take good care of yourself.